I've been a pastor since 2008, and over the course of that period of time, almost 2 decades, I've seen people at their highest height and their lowest low, at their best and their worst. And one of the things I've recognized as a pastor is that there's some things that I'm not equipped to handle that really do require professional, mental, and emotional support. If someone's going to get to a place of stability and then ultimately spiritual thriving and flourishing. And so I have an immense respect for professional mental health providers. And what I've learned is that that people carry really heavy things. And maybe that's you. Maybe you are carrying something extraordinarily heavy, whether it's anxiety or depression. I've engaged with people that have experienced suicidal ideation, people that have dealt with real difficult things. And if that's you, I would encourage you to seek out mental and emotional support, whatever that looks like. If you're in the space, it may look like going online and just looking at psychology today and finding a mental health provider where you are. There are a lot of people that will see you on the basis of insurance, and so it can be cost effective. If you're on a college campus, there are tons of resources that you can engage. I would encourage you to do that. If you are in a place where you're experiencing depression and suicidal ideation, there's a hotline that you can reach out to, 24/7, 365, 988. It's a hotline with people that are, I've talked to folks, they're amazing in helping you work through what you're experiencing. Call that number. If you just need somebody to talk to immediately, I would encourage you to do that. But, what I would say to you, Katie, is that one of the things I've seen in you is this maturing of the range of your work with people. And you've always been an incredibly good listener and very attuned to what's going on in a person. Give us maybe like one of the mental and emotional frameworks that of your study that you're attracted to the most or that you find most helpful in your work, that if you're not a professional that we might not know,
Sure.
What would be a framework for someone experiencing kind of base level anxiety that's super helpful?
Yeah. I tend to really connect with like narrative therapy. And so that's looking at the story that you tell yourself matters. And so asking somebody the question of like, what are your thoughts telling you? What's the story in your head about this thing that's happening or about this anxiety? Looking at it from a story lens is a good way. And then having potentially like seeing, if it's anxiety, seeing that as this externalizing thing that kind of comes in like a storm that blows in. So we kind of like tell it like a story. Like this anxiety tends to be big, like a lightning storm, or maybe I'd have a client talk about, is it a hurricane or is it a tornado or what? Like give me your version of the metaphor for your whatever the anxiety is, but like let's name what it looks like, let's name how it rolls in, let's name how long it lasts, let's look at it like a story, and then to tell ourselves and challenge ourselves that we can change the narrative that we're telling ourselves, that we can change the story, and that's not always it's not just, hey, change the way you think about it and this thing goes away. That's not what I'm saying, but it is important to ask the question of what is the story that we are telling ourselves, because the story that we tell ourselves, the story that we tell ourselves about who God is, that matters. And sometimes we tell ourselves the wrong story. Sometimes we have a faulty narrator, and sometimes we need to challenge the voice that we are speaking to or about to say, maybe I could tell this story in a different way. And if I see it in a different way, maybe that does change the posture or the perspective of in which I'm viewing my life.